Welcome to Mental Health Film Comment. This is Brian here with you. The 2014 film Out of Discord into Harmony, which is on YouTube, is about the unconscious mind talking and starring the inner critic. The film is directed by our guest today, Lois Hollis. Lois, thank you for being here today. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It's wonderful to share what I have learned to help other people, especially
Definitely.
myself first.
Definitely, definitely. Now, this podcast is what I like to call a commentary track format. And some people have pointed out to me that it's technically not a commentary track. But I still like to use the term. And the reason that this podcast is in the format that it is that when you have someone to go to a movie with, when you have someone to watch a movie with, then movie watching becomes a social activity. But if you don't have anyone to go to the movie with, if you don't have anybody to watch a movie with, then the movie watching becomes a solitary activity and a social activity. And so what I mean by that is I will be here today with you, watching the movie with you. Lois will be here watching the movie with you. If you want to bring it up on YouTube, we will be on the other side of the pause button. Now, I did want to mention up front a couple of resources, and we'll have lots of resources throughout this show. I do want to mention, but a couple up front that you're, just so you're aware of, there is a crisis text line available in the US. You can text HOME, HOME, to 741-741. In the UK, you can text SHOUT, SHOUT, to 85258. And depending on where you are in the world, you can check your local listings, as they say. So Lois, thank you for being here today. I appreciate it.
I want to preface the film
Yes.
with a few sentences.
Yes.
I um, I had been very depressed and anxious and going down the rabbit hole of shame and guilt, not knowing that was the name of the rabbit hole.
Yes.
I was just in darkness and fear and migraine headaches. That kind of goes along with a lot of people's behavior. So I was deeply entrenched and I went to therapy
Mhm.
like a good person.
Yes.
And I didn't want to commit suicide anymore.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate myself as much, but I still wasn't happy.
Yeah.
I still was depressed and anxious, but not to the degree. So, yes,
Mhm.
that helped. But I'm like, there's got to be more.
Mhm.
And then someone mentioned the word shame, like, oh, I don't know about that word. That's weird. So I start looking, investigating. Come to find out, I had this dawning epiphany. Oh my goodness, my whole life is shame and guilt.
Yeah.
And then I was so excited because I realized that shame and guilt is the mechanism that causes all depression and anxiety. And I was so happy I didn't have to go to therapists for depression. I didn't have to address my anxiety. I didn't have to address my fears. I just had to take care of shame and guilt.
Yeah.
That was very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Now,
I,
for those who might be listening, when you say shame and guilt, what do you mean by those? Because I know that
okay,
many people will have different. So what is shame and what is guilt?
our culture and psychiatry, etc.,
Mhm.
define shame as a mechanism or an emotion that causes us to feel not good about ourselves. Guilt is a mechanism that makes us say, I should repent because I did something bad. They are inaccurate. And that's where our problem is,
So
why
the
we
thing
can't
of
get rid of it.
yeah. So all
I'm
the thing
bringing,
about like the should on
I'm,
yourself and all that.
I'm bringing new information, and this is where I want people to shift.
Mhm.
Shame, I call shame guilt. Shame and guilt are the same energy. The reason they have different names is because shame is in the unconscious mind and guilt's in the conscious mind. Now, by separating them, you learn that they're not together. So you keep chasing two paths,
Yeah.
but I'm telling you, it's only one path. Our culture tends to compartmentalize things. Like if you have an infection in your stomach, they call it gastritis. If you have the same infection in your brain, they call it meningitis.
Yeah.
If they have it in your, you have arthritis. And I'm telling you, it's the same bacteria.
Yeah.
So that's the concept I want you to see, is that shame and guilt are the same. So some people say, oh, shame is bad and guilt is good. We need it for morals. No. All shame, guilt is an energy placed upon us, and it's negative. It only activates our emotions.
Definitely. Now, one of the things that one of the reasons why I'm so glad that you're here today is this is being pre-recorded at the tail end of what's, what they call Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in September and
Okay.
World Mental Health Day in October. And all of what you're talking about pertains to that.
So I need to say this is that
Yes.
whenever a person feels depressed, sad, shameful,
Yes.
guilty, I want them to take the awareness. And if you can't, get your
Hmm.
friend to
Exactly.
take shame, guilt, and put it on the side. Shame, guilt is not inside us, it's outside of us. So
True.
we can release it. Shame and guilt is not ours to own.
Yeah.
You never say, my shame, my guilt. It's outside, it's a negative energy like a hurricane.
True.
Okay? It's not your fault you feel depressed. It's not your mother's fault. It's not your brother's, and it's not your cousin's.
Right.
And it's not yours either. Shame and guilt is the enemy here.
True.
Okay?
True. And that's something to definitely keep in mind is that
And people commit suicide. I understand. They feel like the world would be better without them. I have felt that.
yeah.
Shame and guilt needs to be just okay. If you feel that way, you got to put it away, and then you do feel depressed. That's
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
or anxiety. I want you to feel your feelings, not feel shame and guilt.
Yeah.
And you can do that.
Yeah.
Shift.
Yeah.
And then I want you to start writing high depression, high anxiety, high anger. Can you talk to me? I want you to talk to your emotions.
Mhm.
Never talk to shame, guilt, because they are
Yeah.
poison. They are
Yeah.
no good. They're
Yeah.
dangerous. There's no such thing as healthy shame. There's no such thing as healthy guilt. There's no such thing as healthy poison,
Mm.
right?
True. True.
There's no healthy poison,
It's not healthy at all.
right?
No.
Now, I'm going against the grain, but
Mhm.
I've been very blessed to receive new information my entire life. I could spend much time on that, but I just want to say this is new information. I've used it for almost 15 years. Everybody that comes to me has a shift,
Mhm.
and depends on how much work they do,
Mhm.
they're, they can at least not go down the rabbit hole because they know shame, guilt is just energy. Does everybody remember the Wizard of Oz and Dorothy going down the yellow brick road to the
Yeah,
wizard?
the
Oh, an powerful woman.
follow the yellow brick road and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
She finally meets the wizard,
Mhm.
and her little dog Toto pulls the curtain back. And what is there? A very little man, who's
Yeah.
very old,
Yeah.
with a huge machine that makes smoke.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's smoke is shame, guilt.
Yeah.
And it's a magician. Once you shame, guilt is seen, disappears.
It's lies though, right? I mean, it's all lies.
Yes,
It's
you are a human being
yeah.
that's perfect and loving.
Yeah.
Shame and guilt came over you and said you're no good. It has that energy. You know how you walk in a room, you're just like, oh, I feel bad. Oh, I feel
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the energy. Shame and guilt's an energy. We can go
Mhm.
into other stuff, but I just want to tell people shame and guilt is not yours to own. And if you feel it, you say, go away. I'll talk to my depression instead.
Yeah. That's a much better thing to be talking to rather than to the shame and
I'm
guilt.
not,
That's not serving it. It's not serving any purpose.
it
It's
only makes
yeah.
shame and guilt more visible
Yeah.
within you.
Exactly.
And never say, oh, it's such a shame. It's a rainy day because I can't barbecue. No, it's not a shame. It's
Yeah.
sad or it's stupid or it's
Yeah.
inconvenient.
Yeah.
Never use the word shame in
Mhm.
conversation.
Yes. True. And
It's
all of, like I said, and all of this is all good stuff. And you had mentioned against the grain, and I like having as much information as I can, such as what you're talking about, and that's and that's what I wish for everyone listening today, that they get as much information as they can
and
to.
they're not going to find this in a book.
True.
Okay, they're not going to find it from their therapist. They can find it in my book, and in 10 years everybody's going to have it.
Yeah.
But this new stuff, I've had it for 10 years, but nobody wanted to hear about shame and guilt. After the virus, they go, oh my goodness, I'm so guilty. It turned the world upside down. So
Yeah.
God said, okay, now it's your turn, you can go talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I'm on podcasts now, to
Yeah.
educate the people this way. And I appreciate you, helping to spread the word. And I really want people to understand that shame, guilt is not ours. Depression is yours,
Yeah.
anxiety is yours, and that's what I portray in my film. Each part of us, each emotion I feel is like a small child inside of us.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that carry the shame, guilt, not us. Like we're talking to the wrong person. We
Yeah.
got to talk to our anxiety or our depression.
Yeah.
And that's what the film portrays. Now,
Yeah.
everybody knows about the inner critic.
Yeah.
And I call the inner critic calls himself, not they, we don't name them, they name
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
My inner critic said, I'm king. And I said, okay,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
got to talk.
Yeah. Yeah. And with what you're describing, this is a reminder for those who might feel like they're alone, that
They
they're
are
not
not
alone.
alone.
They're not
Everybody
alone.
has the same thing.
Correct.
Everybody. It's just that, oh, I can't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what shame and guilt has done to us, is
Yeah.
made us fearful of even saying this word.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's no good. Kick it out of your environment. They're uninvited guests.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh,
Uninvited guests.
so true. So
And it's
true.
not your mother's fault or your
Yeah.
father's fault because
Yeah.
they shamed you, but that's what shame does. It's
Yeah.
not them, it's the shame guilt.
Yeah. What would be the best way to get rid of it and work through it?
Well,
To
I'm teaching you that we need to talk with the interpersonality
uh,
parts
uh,
and get to know them, and they release the shame that we got in childhood and
mhm,
adulthood. But if a person just does this first thing,
yeah.
is to recognize that shame and guilt is not part of them and stop feeling guilty. Say,
Mhm,
guilt, go away.
yeah.
Like Dorothy and the wizard.
Yeah.
You're the little
Guilt
wizard,
go away.
that's your little fat dumping man, and
Mhm,
you're dumping black smoke on me. So
yeah.
the black smoke, go away.
Yeah.
I want to talk to my feelings.
Yeah.
And my shame and guilt is not feelings.
Yeah.
That changes people.
True. Yeah. True.
That
No.
changes people
No, you've got another project coming out
in
soon,
January.
correct? Is
Hmm.
so this is a timely episode of the podcast then,
Yeah, this is
since it's just.
introduction. And the reason I made the film in the video
Mhm,
before,
yeah.
is because people could not see what I was talking about.
Mhm,
I have a very visual mind, and I can see these parts of me, myself, and other people.
yeah.
So I can see the family game,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
is an inner game within ourselves.
Yeah.
And once we make friends with the inner critic, we can't
Yeah.
chop his head off. We
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
kill her. We can't cut our arms off. We can't cut our legs off. They're
Yeah.
stuck with us, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we say, and hi, King, how are you? What can I do for you? And they go away. I said, I
So,
can't go away, and you can't either. We have to
yeah.
work together.
Yeah.
And eventually you do. And then he or she, some
Mhm,
people have she's,
yeah.
they have a much harder time. People that have inner critics that are female,
Mhm,
they have a harder
mm.
time. So if they're a male, you consider yourself lucky.
I feel self-conscious about. No, 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 I'm just kidding.
But
Uh,
anyway, the king part, or the shame inner
mhm,
critic, is really your inner friend because he
mhm,
tries to protect you and he holds you down so you
mhm,
don't try new things, and it's really your protection. So you can say, Guess what, inner critic? It's the year 2020. It's not 1950 anymore.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
an adult. I know how to think. I'm not a
yeah,
little kid. And they
yeah,
go, oh, I never knew that.
yeah.
Then you have to talk to yourself.
Huh,
And they don't know it's the year 2020. They still
yeah.
think you're a 6 year old.
Yeah, that's so true.
Isn't that easy?
It's and this is something, what you're talking about is something that is fairly easy to fit into the
Any
daily
therapy,
practice.
any
Definitely, yeah.
therapy. I'm
Yeah,
not saying that therapy is bad. I'm just
yeah.
saying that therapy goes to third base.
Mhm.
And if you don't do the shame guilt work, you'll never make a
Yeah,
home run.
yeah,
I everybody wants a home run, right?
yeah. Sure.
So watch my film.
Mhm.
Brian's going to give you an email address and a website, and you can email me, and I can answer questions for you. I can direct you like I'm directing now.
Uh-huh.
That's just service that I do.
Yeah, definitely. When you go to the show description, I will have a link up to the YouTube, so you can see that, and to your website as well.
Yeah. And my website, if you go to that, I explain a lot of things that there we could spend 30 years
Yeah,
trying to explain. I mean, since Adam and Eve, we still have this
yeah,
problem. Okay,
true.
so
Yeah,
somebody better come with something new, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm tired of this.
yeah.
But the dramatic shifts in people over a few weeks is so compelling. It makes you cry because it's such a turnaround.
Yeah.
When you know your enemy and you know how to get rid of it,
Mhm.
you're free.
True, true, and that's what we're talking about, the freedom and the victory.
It's
It's
victory.
victory
And
having that.
I feel like mental illness is overblown because we just don't have the right information.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm bringing to the table
Mhm.
because it's not about the mental illness, it's about
Mhm.
the information that we don't have. And
Sure.
that's why I call myself an educator counselor because
Yeah.
I'm more that once you educate somebody, right, they don't need any help. They understand.
Yeah, and what you're talking about are tools that could, as the counselor has told me once, tools to put in your toolbox. That's what you're talking about. Tools that people can have at their toolbox.
Mhm.
Um, Now, what because what you're talking about, this does pertain to those who might be dealing with bipolar. It might,
It's
pertains to it's
all
correct. All right.
369 mental health illnesses
Mhm.
are shame guilt based.
Correct.
So if you just did shame guilt, why do you want to do all that other stuff?
Yeah.
I mean,
True.
seriously,
True.
do you really want to spend 20 years in
Yeah.
therapy? How
Yeah.
about a couple months?
True. Yeah.
I'm for a couple months.
Yeah, definitely. Because I did want to ask about what brought you on this journey initially. What was there? What
I was
led
on,
to?
I was very depressed
Mhm.
and anxious, and like many
Yeah,
people, I had an extremely abusive childhood. So what do you
yeah,
expect, right?
yeah,
Yeah. And then 30 years of migraine headaches and so
yeah,
forth and so on. And I did go to therapy, but it only got me to second base or third base. I mean, I was a little bit happier, I was
yeah,
better, and I'm not
yeah.
downing therapy, but there was more to come. And then someone mentioned shame, and I went, oh my goodness, I never thought about
It
shame.
was like the aha moment, so
It
to
was the
speak.
aha moment that
Mhm.
changed my whole life.
Yeah,
So I investigated, and then I have like a detective brain.
yeah, yeah,
I got to figure it all out.
yeah,
It just is the way it is. And then,
yeah,
I've had assistance from God, Spirit.
mhm,
And then every patient I got, I started to understand more and more and more. And
yeah,
then when we just tackled shame, guilt, the depression and everything went. It's like
yeah,
shame changes our emotion of compassion to depression. Shame changes our emotion of intuition into anxiety.
yeah,
Shame, guilt changes our passion
yeah,
into anger. Do you see what I'm saying here?
sure. And a lot, so a lot of what you're talking about then is a lot of people have the wrong definitions that they're working with,
And
that
why
the wrong.
shouldn't they? Because that's all they've ever been told.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Duh,
yeah.
it's not their fault.
True, true. And that's worth repeating, is that it's not their fault.
And it's not their
That's
mother's either.
true. Yeah.
And it's not their big toe or their hand. I mean,
True.
it's shame
Yeah,
guilt. That's the
yeah,
only enemy you have.
yeah. So
We
this,
have.
yeah,
We have. All
yeah.
of us.
So this is a lifelong journey then, as far
Of
as
course.
yeah.
Of course. But you get better and better and better. And
Good.
you someone starts shaming you, and you go, adios. You
So
become aware of it
definitely.
because a person that always says I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, and
Mhm.
they're shaming themselves, but they don't know
Mhm.
that. We're
Yeah,
taught to say we're sorry, we're shameful. No, we're empowered beings. It's just that we were taught the language of shame and guilt.
yeah,
We're taught it.
true.
Religion teaches it, our government
Mhm.
teaches it, our
Yeah,
society teaches it,
yeah,
but any country teaches it as well. This is a very big thing,
true.
but it's very small when you realize it's just an energy, and people can throw it on you and you can take it off.
Yeah. So a lot of people who you've worked with, then there many of them, I would imagine, are the ones who are doing everything they were told they were supposed to do, and then take a step back, and then you see the bigger picture of
Yeah.
that, I would
And
imagine.
and then you can see how you have been shamed when you learn what
Mhm.
shame guilt
Mhm.
is. See,
True.
we don't even know what it is.
Mhm. True. And that, getting the wrong version corrected. That's a huge,
You talk to your emotions.
true.
Whenever you get down and you feel shameful or guiltful, you say,
Mhm.
go away because you
Yeah.
don't belong to me.
Yeah.
High depression, high anger, high anxiety. What do
Yeah.
you want to tell me?
Yeah. Well, what would be the main take-home point, so to speak, for those
Take
who
one
might be?
point is just to do that. And I
Yeah.
watch my video because
Uh-huh.
it'll teach you, it will show you rather,
Mhm.
how the little parts of us are really shamed. And then we say, hi, how are you? And they go,
Yeah.
oh, somebody's rescuing me.
Yeah.
See, that's all that we need. We need
Yeah.
someone, like you say, we need someone to see us.
Mhm.
I see
True.
you.
Yeah.
And then the shame goes away
Yeah. Uh,
because shame can't stay when it is seen. It actually has to go away to somebody else.
True. True.
So
And
we
then
have to just get rid of it. So I want people to watch the film.
mhm.
Any questions, you can email me. And if you get depressed or shameful or guilty,
Mhm.
tell shame guilt go away because you don't belong to me.
True.
And then I want you to start writing,
Mhm.
thinking about your emotions.
Mhm.
And your emotions can say, I don't care, life sucks, or life is better doing this, or
Yeah.
your name is Gertrude or Gratitude or
Yeah.
Henry or George.
Yeah.
Whatever is in your mind, say hi to it.
Yeah.
Hi, I don't care. Thank you for visiting me.
Yeah.
What can I do for you today?
Mhm.
See how it changes the focus?
Yeah. Not having not having the shame and guilt be the dictator of your
Exactly.
lives.
And then
That's
eventually you get to talk to the inner critic. You say, oh, hi there. How are you? What do you got to say?
yeah. Yeah, and I like that. And all of what you're talking about, this is helpful. I know that many people listening, that this is going to be very helpful for them. I
And you have to know that everyone carries,
Mhm.
I call it shame guilt because
Mhm.
it's the same.
True.
It's just different words for different places in the
Yeah.
mind and in the unconscious mind. And
Now,
that's
have you seen, because you alluded to it, as far as in our society, have you encountered any differences as far as if in Eastern societies versus in Western, or is that?
um, the United States is more guilt based. The Oriental countries like
Mhm.
China and Japan are more
Mhm.
shame based,
Yeah.
but there's still shame guilt. It's still the
Yeah.
same.
So
Oh,
okay.
And then it's all over the world. I was
Mhm.
talking with somebody in India the other day, and they go, "Oh, we have shame guilt here too." I
Good.
mean, like it's a global
Yeah.
thing.
So very universal concepts then that you're talking about.
It was placed upon humanity.
Yeah.
Humanity is everybody, right?
True. True.
It's not the United States. It isn't China. It's placed upon humanity.
True.
Okay, we're talking
True.
big time. So
Definitely.
believe me, you're not the only one.
Okay.
It's like how many billion
Yeah.
people in this
Cool.
world?
Good. And I did want to just repeat that because I know many people do feel like they're alone. And again, and you repeated it again, and I'll repeat it again that you're not alone. You really are not.
You're one person in
Mhm.
a billion. I don't know how many
Definitely.
people are in the world.
Definitely.
I don't know that
Definitely.
one.
Definitely.
You have to figure that one out for me.
Correct.
But
So
that's everyone has shame guilt,
correct.
and we. This is interesting. Not everybody
Mhm.
has to believe it, but we carry it from one lifetime to the other, and we
Mhm.
carry it through our generations. Like we give it to our kids, and the kids give it to their parents, and
Yeah.
it's automatically given. So somebody has to say stop.
Yeah.
And I found out when I released a lot of shame guilt, my kids got um, higher promotions in their life.
Mhm.
It
Cool.
actually is
Cool.
seen. And I saw my parents change as well to the good.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
it's an energy, it's like electrical current.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
think of shame guilt as an electrical current.
Yeah.
That's bad. It's not good
Mhm.
current.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
True.
And the jig is up once it's caught.
Yeah. Could I ask you something? Why do you think? Because I've encountered this, and it sounds like you may have as well. But why do you many of the standard traditional healing modalities, for lack of a better word, as it relates to counseling and therapy or whatever, it seems very fixed and very, etched in stone.
Because
And
that way I have a difficult time saying, oh, I want to buy your course.
mhm, yeah,
And how can I give a course on this? I can teach
yeah,
you to help yourself.
yeah,
And I do individual and groups and I teach, but I
yeah,
can't write it down because your king is different than my
mhm,
king.
yeah,
Or you may have a woman, or
mhm,
I have a girl. I mean,
yeah,
we just don't know.
mhm,
And that's why I would like people to look at my video and they go, oh,
yeah,
I don't have that, but I have George, not Tom. Everything's different. We are trained to put things in categories and
mhm,
subletters and subheadings,
yeah,
and that's good. That's good for business, and you
mhm,
need that for
yeah,
the building and construction and bridges.
yeah,
This is different, but mental health used to be um, more of a theology, and then
mhm,
it turned into psychiatry.
yeah,
And as a nurse, I know that if you have depression, you can label that 310.0 and you can charge $200.
mhm,
If you have anxiety, it's 194
mhm,
times 6 and then you can charge $75.
mhm,
So it's a matter of business,
yeah.
which is okay. I mean,
Mhm.
people have gotten well through this,
You're
but
talking about like the insurance billing codes. You
yeah,
mean?
the
Yeah.
codes and all that, and they
Mhm,
have to do that in order to
yeah.
get paid, in order to,
Mhm,
and I understand all that, but
mhm,
I'm offering another layer
mhm,
that the only way you're going to get to shame guilt, which is the cause, is that you have to be more free form
mhm,
and go, you are the code. You make you. It's not, you don't fit in a book.
mhm,
They try to fit you in a book code. And I'm telling you, you can't fit into a book code. And that
mhm,
causes more guilt
yeah.
because they say, oh, you don't fit into depression or anxiety or bipolar. I don't know what you are. You're a human being with shame and guilt. That's all you are. You don't
Yeah.
have a disease. Do you see
Yeah,
what I'm
and
saying?
and you even see that often when someone gets misdiagnosed or even wrongly
Well, of
diagnosed.
course you're going to get wrongly
Yeah.
diagnosed. They're all wrongly
Yeah.
diagnosed because there's
Yeah.
no code for shame guilt.
Yeah.
Okay?
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely. So
I'm going to be shut at dawn.
no, like I said, and I said this earlier on the show. I'm not sure it was on mic or off mic, but mental health, dealing with through all this is a messy process. So the and I say that in terms of having differing opinion and differing information, I think is having more information is better than having less information.
Now, and typically,
Mhm.
a person goes to therapy,
Yeah.
and after a month or two, I think I have depression with some anxiety themes,
Mhm.
and like that's really going to help you.
Yeah.
And people feel,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the patient, but
Yeah.
they feel guilty because nothing's better. They
Yeah.
go, oh my God, I'm so bad. I've been in therapy for so many times and nobody's been able to fix me. See,
Yeah, and
that's where it comes.
yeah, it's how they're being treated.
Well, but that's how they're taught. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not their fault either.
Yeah.
It's just that's the system.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
system. And I'm just saying there's another system.
Mhm.
And I don't take um, histories because we can spend 3 years taking somebody's. I'm 77. Do you know
Yeah.
how long I could talk about my
Yeah.
life? You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I automatically just go find the shame,
Mhm.
guilt, and then I
Yeah.
find everything.
Mhm.
So everyone has depression, anxiety, and fear and
Yeah.
anger. Believe
Yeah.
me, hello.
Yeah.
That's part of life.
Mhm. True. True. Well, like I said, and I'm definitely glad you're here today because there's a lot of good info here. Now, as we wind down, I did want to mention some resources. There's Mental Health America at mhanational.org. There's also National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI.org. But there's also your website as well would be a good resource.
Uh,
How can people get in contact with you if they
Thank you.
want
It's Lois Hollis, LOISHO, excuse me, LLIS,
to?
loishollis.com.
Okay.
And you'll find many resources there. And you can put my email down,
Mhm. What would that email be? What would be the best way for?
Lois, LOIS,
Mhm.
and the number three,
Mhm. Let's see.
Hollis,
Uh-huh.
HOLLIS,
Uh-huh.
at gmail.com.
At gmail.com. Okay.
But it's the number three, not written. It's
Yeah,
the
the
number.
number three.
Lois3
Yeah,
Hollis at Gmail.
definitely. Well, lot of good info here. Lot to
And if
unpack.
if we just help someone
Mhm.
change their perspective on I am not alone, I am good. It's
Mhm.
just shame and guilt got into me and they're uninvited guests and I want to kick them out of their life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can handle my depression, I can handle anxiety, and we'll fix all that. But the shame and guilt got to go.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
watch my video and we'll talk.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you, those at home or driving or wherever you may be listening. Stay safe, everyone, and talk to you next time.
Okay,
Bye.
blessings.
Bye. Bye.